Unfortunately, this year, Kota Rally was not able to happen. There weren't quite enough people signed up. I think there were some late changes and things that resulted in not quite hitting the 20 rider minimum. But through the remarkable generosity of the rally community, was able to still get out to Colorado and do a little bit of riding with other like-minded rally friends. So had the GoPro out for some of it, just because, being a flatlander from Indiana, I like having the memories of all this stuff, being able to see where I've been, what I've done. The first day we went out there, we ended up on some really gnarly single track, and I was a little bit late getting out there, so in an effort to not hold everyone else up, I didn't have the GoPro for that. And then the next day, we got a little bit of rain, so off and on we were putting rain jackets on and dodging puddles, and some of them were way deeper than we expected, but for the most part it was hero dirt out there, no dust or anything that day, so that was wonderful. Unfortunately, it broke up, but the clouds were real threatening. So we did our best to get out from under those and put the power down a little bit to try to hoof it back before the skies broke. This was around 10,000 feet of elevation. I think it may not have been quite that high, but it was close. So the 690 was a little bit down on power compared to normal, but still doing pretty well for itself. We were out here running Roadbooks, and the terrain is really varied. We were on some roads, we were on some 2-track, really good Roadbooks. Honestly, good practice. Seeing some of the beautiful scenery and chasing waypoints in the process. There were a couple spots that were a little bit overgrown. It's definitely the rainy season out in Colorado, so it's definitely an exercise in eyes up and trying to recognize patterns in the grass where there might be a road. You can kind of see we're trying to figure out where this one is, and sometimes just looking up you can see a couple dark spots and where there's no bushes, and in this case they looked convincing enough to follow. So we had some good open stuff like this, and then we had some really gnarly single track that was probably, the 690 made it. I didn't have any issues really. It didn't break anything, but it was everything the bike could do. The gearing is just way too long. You're in first gear all the time. You're slipping the clutch a bunch, and by the time you get to the top of some of this stuff, I'm fairly careful with the clutch, but I'm slipping it the whole way up this, trying not to stall the engine, trying to still put power down. With the Kit690 kit, this thing weighs about 375 pounds, so you can't slip it too much. You're just not going to go anywhere. But at the top of the really gnarly single track that we did, that unfortunately I didn't have video of, the first comment that was made to me was, "Yeah, I can smell your clutch. That's probably not a good thing." So had to take it pretty easy. It was a fairly new clutch, but I'll be replacing that again, or at least keeping a spare with me just in case. I really would hate to have a clutch go out in the middle of the stage, or sometime where it really matters in an event, or where someone has to come out and rescue me because I was an idiot and didn't keep my bike in one piece. Really amazing views out there though. The bike's maybe a little large for some of these trails, but it honestly did better than I expected. I've been thinking about swapping the 450 engine into this bike. It would drop about 25 pounds, it would give me a better clutch, better gear ratios, but at least for this elevation, the torque of the 690 was pretty critical in getting up this stuff, so I don't know, I'm on the fence. The gearbox in the 690 isn't great, at least in my 2014 model. The electronic throttle makes me nervous, but it does seem to work pretty well. I'm kind of getting used to it. It does the adventure bike thing pretty well too when I need it to, and I don't want to go so far race bike that it doesn't still do that well, because at the end of the day, going down and doing Sonora or something, the liaisons are the an adventure ride. It's nice to be able to just cruise down the road and not get tired. Some of the single track out here was, well, like this section, really didn't seem like it got a lot of traffic. There really wasn't a lot of braking bumps or ruts or anything like that. It was, I mean, this is a trellis frame 690. I'm on the steering stop, standing on the pegs, going around those switchbacks, and just trying to make sure I stay on the trail and don't overshoot it. The camera always makes everything look flatter than it is, of course. But then it opened up, and it was actually a really nice, flowy trail. You get to the bottom of this, and you're just laughing in your helmet. Like, I would absolutely go back and do that again. I don't think the actual Kota Rally event is quite. I haven't done it yet. I was intending to do it this year, but of course, with it not happening, I don't know for sure. I don't think it's quite this gnarly of stuff. I think it tends to stay less on the tight single track. But you see on the website, this is not a big bike event. It's something that's really intended for the converted 450s and the 500s with a rally tower on them. There's a reason for that, right? If you get stuck somewhere on a 690 or a Tenere 700, or like I race a 990. I love my 990, but there's places where it is a hazard to myself, and it's a hazard to the organization, because if they have to come rescue you on a big heavy bike, it's not good for anybody. Of course, there are some absolutely beautiful areas out here. This kind of, I don't know if it counts as an alluvial field when it's small like that. These kind of washes out of areas where there's water running down. This is a great sand dune, which is always, majestic off in the distance. And we got a beautiful sky over us too. We're out there with some of the guys had the new Cove 450 rallies. This is a 450 rally in front of me here on like dual sport tires. So the soft sand was a little bit squirrely for that bike, even with a very, very capable rider on it. We got into some of the harder pack stuff, later in the video, and it did great. I have, dirt bike tires on the 690, so this was the first time I'd ridden it in the sand, actually. And once I got used to it, it had a full tank of gas, it had 9 gallons of gas in it. And once I got used to the weight and kind of how it moved around and where it tracked and where it didn't, and how much force it took to turn it, it was great. The bike fits me really well. It's more comfortable for me than the 450 frame was, being over 6 foot tall. And the stability, you could just wick it up and go, and it would just go straight. It was very, very nice. It was very confidence-inspiring. I've made some changes to the valving when I refreshed the suspension after the ride, just to try to take some of the harshness out of the shock. But as you run fuel out of the tanks, then it feels very, very stiff, right? It feels soft when it's full, it feels stiff when it's empty, and there's no way around the fact that you're moving that much fuel around. There were quite a few water crossings on the road, so I stopped and decided I'd attempt to play videographer, which, there's a reason I'm an engineer. I thought I'd get a nice cool shot here, and instead got soaked. All of these coves are completely stock. As far as I know, there's some ergonomic changes, and actually the guy in front of me is a brand new bike. This was his break-in ride, and after getting used to it, it's pretty impressive. Like, there's a lot of political stuff you can say about the coves, and I'm not going to get into that, but if you look at how capable the bike is, and you put some guys like this who are, you know, they're accomplished rally guys, they know what they're doing, and they get on these bikes and say, hey, this is working really well, that's high praise.
Let's go. I'm camped here. That was my campsite.
Hear me say that's my campsite. Several years ago, I'd ridden the other way through this on the 990, and I camped there. I actually dropped the bike pulling into the campsite, so cool to go past a place you know and kind of recognize some of the stuff. I was really happy with the suspension on the 690 through this. I mean, this rocky stuff, as long as you're standing up, it would go through it beautifully. And you know, I'm recovering from knee surgery and was kind of taking it easy in a couple spots, but when I forgot that I was supposed to be taking it easy, the bike's just so confidence-inspiring, and it kind of looks like the Coves are too. You can hear the RPM difference. Me being on a 690, it only revs to 8,000 RPM. I think the Coves rev higher, like most 450s. You just gotta spin them a little bit to get power out of them, but it seemed like they were working just fine. It was definitely a hoot mobbing through some of the stuff. It seems like the Coves also, like, again, I've never ridden one. The geometry seems good from what I've heard, but also like there was a weird rock and a hole down here. For a bike with a big heavy gas tank on the back, they don't, I mean, it kicked a little bit, but man, if I hit that on the 690, it would probably kicked a lot more than that. So it seems like they've got a pretty good factory tune in the suspension. And can you bottom it out? Sure, but it seems like it's way better than like if you were to try to rail through this stuff on like a Tenere 700. Or even putting a rally tower on a 500 EXC, I think the suspension would be real soft. So, you know, again, all politics and regionality aside, it seems like they've got a, at least out of the box, a capable product. Again, we saw a lot of really, really beautiful scenery out there. You got the Toy Story sky going, and just absolutely beautiful. You gotta stop and smell the roses, or at least ride more slowly and smell the roses every once in a while. We also checked out this place, I think it's called Bishop Castle, and they have guard goats who were trying to drink out of our camelbacks and, you know, take us down with their horns.
Step down that.
Oh, that one's broken too.
Quality welds.
How can... Oh, you're parked the way up. I'm too old.
I am quite scared of heights, which the guys definitely made sure to not let me forget as we climbed up this homemade castle. Pretty impressive what the guys built, but man, there's not a lot of OSHA standards or really anything else involved here, so it's a very much do-at-your-own risk kind of thing.
It's okay.
This guy started building this castle in 1969 and has been, you know, continuing to put it together ever since. I think he may have some health issues right now, but he's certainly built something really impressive there. And then, of course, some of these roads, just kind of an adventure ride back and just out enjoying the scenery. So, really happy to be back on the bike after surgery, get my ACL fixed, getting a chance to go out. Can't thank everyone involved in this enough for the hospitality and, you know, waiting for me to get out there, driving halfway across the country and different things, so letting me join the group. So another great ride in the books and another video for the memories to supplement my rather forgetful brain.